What's going on, y'all? This Truth Tuesday. This is the first episode of Truth Tuesday. The first time I've done one, so should be interesting. I got my brother Kyle on here. Uh, we're talking about Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies and shit like that. And he had a real interesting take on what he thought about that shit. And I'm gonna let him give his take on what he thought about that.
Yeah, hello everybody out there. My name is KingKaiCrypto, and I've been in the markets for a minute, and I've been trying to convert my brethren over here into the digital world, but he doesn't want to come. So I had to become extreme in my tactics to get him to understand that Bitcoin is a gift from God.
And why do you say it's a gift from God?
Because all evidence and facts prove it.
You gotta give me a little bit more than that, player.
Because basically, the everybody's currency right now is based in their own country in their own language. So basically, like right now, everybody has to speak their country's language. Only a select few can translate. And so with Bitcoin, it's like it's universal currency. So regardless of where you're at, you're able to transact, spend, you're able to do commerce. So if
So let
I
me ask you a question. Hold on, let me ask you a question before you go too in depth into that. So do you think that us being able to be connected with the other nations is the will of the Most High?
said what?
Do you think us connecting with the other nations easier is the will of the Most High?
All depends. Yes, if you're doing business, yeah.
Are we not supposed to separate?
Culturally, but not financially. You're supposed to do business with other
Financially,
nations.
financially we're supposed to separate too.
As in, we
We're
supposed to
supposed to
put
separate
all
it
money
all
in
ways.
our bank.
Excuse me?
We're supposed to put the money all in our bank, but we're not supposed to. We're supposed to do business. That's why the Bible says you're supposed to charge them with what do they call it? Interest. That's where interest
No,
comes from.
but no,
So
but
we make
I'm not talking about doing business. I'm not talking about having money. What I'm asking is, do you think us being more connected with the other nations is the will of the Most High?
no.
Okay, that was the question I was asking. All right, continue.
Okay. Now but we have to live in 2020 as well because time progresses. So right now, let's say okay, right now I'm in America, I got $500. I could convert that $500 to Bitcoin and then go to China and I have $500 worth of Bitcoin. Straight up. I don't have to go to the local bank and tell them I'm going to China and convert this 500 into the Chinese dollar. I don't have to do that. I can just go buy some Bitcoin, go to China, and start tapping, and I got all the services I ever wanted. That's the beauty about Bitcoin. That's why it's God sent because it stops the oppression of the middleman. The only
I'm,
it's you can't stop it. It's like the internet.
I'm glad you said. I'm glad that was a perfect segue. All right, so we're finna get to this first video that you sent. We're gonna get to this first video that you sent.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second. We're gonna get into that, and then we'll speak on that afterwards.
This fiat currency supply expansion cannot continue forever. As layers continue to accumulate in round after round of quantitative easing, people are implicitly taxed harder and harder through price inflation, and trust in the currency becomes diminished. Like Hemingway said about bankruptcy, this happens gradually at first, then suddenly, as inflation gives way to hyperinflation. At this point, the central bank master has pushed his fiat slave citizen too hard, like to the edge of his economic livelihood. Now, we can compare these pyramid schemes to Bitcoin, but to do so, it's important to realize early adopters of any money always benefit disproportionately to later adopters. But unlike the unknowable supplies of fiat currencies, which are vulnerable to political corruption, Bitcoin has a universal.
Are you able to hear that? Are you able to hear that? Kai, are you able to hear that? Are you able to hear that?
Yeah, it was going fine until you stopped it. It was going fine until you stopped it.
If anybody can hear that, put a one in the chat. If I'm not getting no feedback. Put a one in the chat. If I'm not getting no feedback. I'm glad that was the perfect thing.
I'm watching it on my phone right now, so yeah, it's playing through.
I'm glad that was the perfect thing.
I'm watching it on my, yeah, it's playing through. Yeah, dang, the audio is fine. Yeah, dang, the audio is fine. Before you stopped it, it was playing normal.
All right, my bad.
Before you stopped it, it was playing normal.
Yeah, but I couldn't hear anything. I didn't hear that. I couldn't hear you. I couldn't hear nothing. Hear anything. I didn't hear that. I couldn't hear you. I couldn't hear nothing. My bad, y'all. I fucked up the stream. Just give me a second. I don't know, motherfuckers keep dropping off like this nigga bullshit. We gonna get to it. We gonna get to all of it. All right, so that one's tripping. Get to this other one.
There's something about Bitcoin that feels perfect in a way, in that it has almost perfect qualities as money. We know that there's some pieces of the protocol, like the difficulty adjustment and the halving that comes every 4 years, that keep it on this path, a vector, if you will, that seems to be heading toward a perfect place, like a north star of the cosmos. And to get back to your word about incentives, if in fact we can have a situation or an economy or a world where the incentives are perfect because of Bitcoin, then would the outcomes be perfect? Now, the question is it hacking us, right? I believe that the protocol is self-aware and that it's hacking us to help us. In other words, to put it this way, and I don't want to go off on a total tangent.
No, I like this.
You know, let me put it this way. If in fact you were the creator of the universe and Earth and its population was your creation, and you looked upon that creation and you thought, this is going to shit, I need to fix it. You could, if God showed up suddenly on the evening news, and I don't mean, you know, a fake God, but I mean the actual God, everyone would freak out. But if God could hack his way into our world using Bitcoin to change our incentives as human beings, so that we help ourselves get out of this mess, that would be the way to do it. That would be the way to do it. This could be God's thumbprints are all over Bitcoin.
Yeah, whatever or whoever Satoshi was, and whatever Bitcoin means, like the most important understanding it had, or he had, or they had, was of human nature. That there is no going back. So it's only going to get worse and worse. So they're going to have to print more money. They're going to have to go into MMT.
So you're saying that they're going to have to cross the Rubicon once again? Again, we're probably going to cross 10 Rubicons.
I'm going to get a toll booth on this river Rubicon because everyone's crossing it back and forth. I'm going to make a killing.
Can you try to play the first one as well?
All right, I'm gonna try. Just give me a second, because that was a bit tough to sit through. That was a bit tough to sit through because there was no truth. There was no truth in what was just said in that video, and it was hard for me not to stop the video and and interrupt.
Did you get that message I sent you?
Yeah, I got the message.
I want to play that video as well.
All right, just give me a second. So the thing about that video, now I'm about to poke some holes in that video we just watched. He said that if the Most High God got on the news, everybody would be freaked out. If you just listen to what this person says, they have no understanding of the Most High, because he said there's going to be a day when he does reveal himself. So that's the first hole in what he said. The first hole is that the Most High God would not reveal himself to man. He would hack into mankind using cryptocurrency to redirect how mankind operates. That's not how the Most High even operates. It's written what he's going to do to correct mankind, and one world currency is not the way he was going to correct mankind. Now, I want to start with this video about what Bitcoin even is. I'm gonna play this video and just show what Bitcoin is, and then we'll go forward from there.
If you bought just $1,000 of Bitcoins in July 2010, you would now have $90 million on your hands. From a mere 5 cents a pop 7 years ago, the cryptocurrency has steadily been climbing in value. What's driving Bitcoin's surge in value? One reason could be the recent upgrades to the system. Transactions are faster and fees are lower. Another reason might simply be that more people know about it and are comfortable with the idea of a cryptocurrency, including investors. As more mainstream traders and investors get on board, the currency is seen as increasingly robust. For the uninitiated, Bitcoin is a virtual currency created by a mysterious individual who goes by the name Satoshi Nakamoto, though that is most certainly not his actual name. Nakamoto introduced his idea for the cryptocurrency in a research paper in 2008, and it was implemented in 2009 as open source code. His reason for creating Bitcoin came down to the flaws he saw in the current system: banks debasing currency, a lack of privacy and security, banks' predatory lending practices, and the difficulties and expenses with transferring money. With e-currency based on cryptographic proof, without the need to trust a third-party middleman, money can be secure and transactions effortless. Bitcoin is not actually a coin, but a line of unique code. And like the dollar bill today, Bitcoin has value because people give it value. Like gold, there's a fixed amount of Bitcoin that can exist in the world, 21 million. Bitcoin runs on blockchain, a digital ledger that keeps track of every single transaction made in the Bitcoin network, making it especially secure because everything is public and everything is tracked. It's the world's first open financial network. As people become increasingly wary of government control over individual assets, Bitcoin becomes more and more viable, your own personal bank that no one can touch. Your Bitcoin is stored in a wallet. This wallet can be a digital wallet, or even a physical. Wherever you think your unique key, a long string of numbers that is yours and yours alone, will be safest. If you're looking to invest in Bitcoin, you can do so in 3 different ways. Number 1, you can mine your own, which is very difficult. As competition for mining Bitcoins has increased, only those with powerful computers and cash to shell out for energy costs can keep up with processing the increasingly difficult calculations. Number 2, buy some from an online exchange. Or number 3, you can buy shares in a fund that invests in Bitcoin. And if you're looking to cash out, you can do so by selling your Bitcoin directly to another user in exchange for another currency or in an online exchange. Bitcoin's real-world value may be slower to develop. As a day-to-day currency, it's still hard to use. While there are some brick-and-mortar establishments that accept the currency, from hotel chains like Howard Johnson to certain restaurants, it's still difficult to use out in the real world. Online, certain goods and services can be bought with the currency. As more companies and retailers begin to recognize Bitcoin's growth, adoption will follow. For now, the currency's value lies in what it's worth, with Bitcoin holders closely watching its value climb, wondering when, if ever, to cash out. For Uprocks, I'm Frankie Greek.
Okay, now that video right there, that was just about what Bitcoin is. Okay, so my mic was
In
on.
the interest of fairness, that's the most new perspective of Bitcoin. But keep going.
That's the most what?
Noob perspective of Bitcoin. Noob.
I'm saying, but that was from 2018, and that's just a video that breaks it down to anybody. I mean, I will understand it being a new perspective because it's for people to understand exactly what it is in layman's terms, just in case they don't know. Now, I want to get to the whole God thing. Give me a sec right quick, my brother. We're going to get to the whole God thing. Now, how many gods are there?
There's only one God.
Is that the truth?
Yeah.
All right, then. So explain this list to me. Explain this chart to me.
What is this? What is it supposed to mean?
This is the pagan god chart. Because the dude that you just played in that video, he don't believe in the one true God. He believes in the pagan God. And so I went and got this chart for you from one of my previous videos of the pagan gods. Now, if you look at the Roman Catholic chart, if you look at the Roman Catholic part on the chart, you see there's God, Virgin Mary, and Jesus as the Trinity, basically. So when they say God, the God they speak of is not the Most High God. The God that created the currency is not the one true God. Now, I'm going to segue from this. I just want to show you this chart so you can see what I'm talking about when I'm saying there's more than one God, and the God they speak of is not the true God of the Bible. But what I want to do is I want to get to this video right here. Who actually created Bitcoin? Because see, that's the $1 million question. That's the $1 million question. So
it's already been answered.
No, it hasn't. I'm about to show you. I'm about to show you that it hasn't been answered. I'm about to show you. See, told you I had some stuff to show you.
All right.
One of the enduring mysteries of modern times, a riddle for the digital age. Who created the cryptocurrency known as Bitcoin? After its release in 2009, hardly anyone had heard of it. And when people started to hear the word Bitcoin, not many of them gave it a second's thought. Now, millions of folks use it, and some have made a virtual fortune from selling it. We guess you've all heard the story of Laszlo Hanyecz, who paid for 2 large Papa John's pizzas for 10,000 bitcoins in 2010, worth then a measly $30. If that guy would have held on to them, he could have made at one point as much as $100 million. Recently he said, "I don't regret it. I think that it's great that I got to be part of the early history of Bitcoin." The question is though, who did this history begin with? The story starts with a name, and that name is Satoshi Nakamoto. Behind this name is a shadow, a ghost. It's a name that conjures up conspiracy theorists, that piques and stirs our imaginations. He's real and not real, a kind of Kaiser Soze of the digital era. We say this because he's the guy, the specter, that put his name on the domain bitcoin.org on the 18th of August 2008. He's also the person that, following that, wrote a paper called Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. He hung around for a couple more years and then, like that, he was gone. What we want to know is, where is he now and who are we really talking about? Because the experts out there are fairly certain there is no person called Satoshi Nakamoto who created Bitcoin. In 2012, this extremely wise guy claiming to be Mr. Nakamoto said he was a 37-year-old dude from Japan. Back then, before he went missing, no one really believed that, and these days, no one believes it. In the early days, people knew something was amiss when they saw that he wrote in impeccable English. But so what? Lots of Japanese people do. But then he used British phrases and British spelling when he wrote. Lots of things just didn't seem right. The famous and sometimes infamous tech entrepreneur John McAfee says he actually knows who the Bitcoin wizard is, but he's not telling. Still, McAfee has been known to say some outlandish things at times. Let's now look at some possibilities regarding who Nakamoto is. Back when not many people really cared about Bitcoin, some people did do a bit of investigating about this so-called Japanese creator. One of the first people to try and unmask Nakamoto
Steve and Dave use eToro to trade cryptocurrencies. Steve does extensive research in order to find the next Bitcoin.
Nakamoto was an internet security researcher called Dan Kaminsky. He told The New Yorker in 2011 he knew one thing for sure, and that was he's a world-class programmer with a deep understanding of the C++ programming language. He understands economics, cryptography, and peer-to-peer networking. He also said if this guy isn't actually a team of guys, then he's an absolute genius. Many others have said no way could one man alone have done this unless he was out of this world intelligent. So we're looking for a genius. There can't be too many of those hiding out underground, surely. They tend to float to the top of society, or at least cause ripples in the rivers of the underground. That investigator went looking for other cryptography experts because, hey, it's very likely that the best knew the best, but he came up with nothing in the end. Was it the Finnish tech researcher and programmer Vili Lehdonvirta? That's highly unlikely. His name was put forward, but he didn't even know cryptography that well, and surely he would have given up his day job at the university where he worked. What about Gavin Andreessen? He was the guy that took over Bitcoin after Nakamoto did his disappearing act, but no one really believes that. What's interesting though is that Andreessen once said that he did know who Nakamoto was, and he gave the name Craig Wright. But that's only because Wright, an Australian computer scientist, said he was. He was investigated, and a lot about his life and work and activity suggested that either he was the creator or he was really good at lying. It's also said that he wrote some messages using cryptographic keys that were inextricably linked to blocks of Bitcoin created by the great Nakamoto. Wright even registered a US copy for Bitcoin 0.1 in April 2019, but the US Copyright Office said it doesn't look into what it said was a provable connection between the claimant and the pseudonym's author. In other words, that copyright doesn't mean much. Wright's claim, though, was supported by others. There were further investigations, with Wired once writing that Wright either invented Bitcoin or is a brilliant hoaxer who very badly wants us to believe he did. He's even threatened to sue people for libel who say it wasn't him, so he takes the matter very seriously. Then, in 2019, he came out with a bombshell, but something not totally unexpected. He said Nakamoto wasn't just him, but he led a team of people. He said he was kind of the principal actor. The other people involved, he said, were Dave Kleinman and Hal Finney. So let's have a look at these guys. Kleinman, called an avid cryptographer, isn't alive any longer. He passed away in 2013. He was on the mailing list of this Nakamoto character, and he was skilled in the arts of building encryption-focused software. The problem is, according to the experts, the only evidence he was part of this team Wright talks about is Wright's word. Wright has been accused of making things up by some investigators. And listen to what was written about Kleinman after he died in apparent poverty. His body was found decomposing and surrounded by empty alcohol bottles and a loaded handgun. A bullet hole was found in his mattress, though no spent shell casings were found on the scene. The story now turns into a darker shade of gray. It gets weirder though, because allegedly Kleinman died with a massive stack of Bitcoin. People have even said that it was Kleinman and Kleinman alone that was Nakamoto. From what we can see though is that his brother hasn't released his hard drives and they could hold some valuable information. Should we trust what this man Wright says? That's the question. This is what Bitcoin.com says about Wright. There is some evidence that Wright was lurking in the shadows not long after Bitcoin got off the ground. But all that proves is that fake Toshi is a chancer who's built a career out of riding in the slipstream of brighter stars. That said, he was working on Bitcoin from the beginning, or something like it. In an interview, his wife said he was working on something he called digital money, and that was way back. He worked on that with his friend, and his friend was Dave Kleinman. There are many things pointing to Wright telling the truth, such as a hacked PDF of a legal contract between Wright and Kleinman. That contract is for a trust in the Seychelles, and that trust would hold a fortune of Bitcoin similar to that which Nakamoto had. Still, investigators have said that this is bogus, and neither Wright nor Nakamoto had the amount of Bitcoin in that contract. The researcher we just mentioned, called Dan Kaminsky, has looked into the claim, and he concluded that it's international scammery. If this is confusing to you, don't worry, because the whole story of who Nakamoto is or was has been causing migraines and sometimes vicious debates for a long time. Now let's have a look at this man called Hal Finney. Of all the people thought to be Nakamoto, he is certainly a big suspect. This guy Finney was said to be a pre-Bitcoin cryptographic pioneer. He was a genius, and if he wasn't Nakamoto, then the two could be said to be endowed with similar intellectual properties. As Bitcoin.com writes, Hal Finney epitomizes Bitcoin more than any other person. Writing analysis experts have all said that he and Nakamoto have very similar handwriting. But they said that about Andreessen too. Some people have suggested that he was a ghostwriter for Nakamoto, not that he was the man himself. But Finney denied being Nakamoto and allowed investigators into his house. Those investigators concluded that he was indeed telling the truth. But there's no doubt Finney and Nakamoto were in contact via email a lot. Others have said that if Nakamoto was trying to hide, why would Finney have been openly emailing himself? That's if he was Nakamoto in disguise. It makes no sense because obviously the trail leads back to Finney. Or was it some crazy double bluff? By the way, Finney was the first guy ever to receive a Bitcoin transaction from Nakamoto. Unfortunately, Finney got ALS, known as Lou Gehrig's disease, and became paralyzed and then died in 2014. Rest in peace, the second genius of this tale. So if these three guys weren't all together Nakamoto, then they were all there at the beginning of Bitcoin. But the story doesn't stop there. It gets even stranger. That's because a man living down the street from Finney was called Dorian Nakamoto. That's some coincidence, eh? He was also a computer whiz and, like most of those that embrace cryptocurrencies, a libertarian. He was actually investigated by a Newsweek journalist in 2014, and get this, he told the journalist, "I am no longer involved in that and I cannot discuss it. It's been turned over to other people. They're in charge of it now. I no longer have any connection." So is that confirmation? It gets weird again because Dorian then backtracked, saying he misunderstood the question and thought the journalist was talking about his military work, which was classified. Then something strange happened. The real Nakamoto's P2P Foundation account came alive for the first time in 5 years, and the message read, "I am not Dorian Nakamoto." Some people, though, think it was hacked. Others have said that while he might have been a systems engineer on classified government defense projects and also a computer engineer for technology and financial information services companies, he certainly didn't have the brains to be the real Nakamoto, not unless he hid his superintelligence very well. Another name that pops up a lot is Nick Szabo. That's because he certainly did have the brain power to create something like Bitcoin, and the reason we say that is because he published a paper on something called BitGold, which was a theoretical decentralized digital currency. It didn't ever really get off the ground, but it was certainly a precursor to Bitcoin. He envisioned and laid out a plan like Bitcoin before Bitcoin came out. He was a certified genius, no doubt, and people investigating the riddle have said it was him, only because he's the only one who would know how to create something like Bitcoin. One investigator wrote, "I've concluded that there's only one person in the whole world that has the sheer breadth but also the specificity of knowledge, and it's this chap." There's also evidence on one of his blogs that he wrote about intending to invent a real-life version of his BitGold, but Szabo vehemently denies he is Nakamoto, even though he has at least admitted that if anyone in the world that he knew of could have created Bitcoin and wanted to create Bitcoin, it would have been him, or Finney, or a guy called Huidai. The latter isn't in the list of usual suspects. As for Szabo, he certainly dreamed of something like Bitcoin and has said so in interviews, so he only has the greatest respect for Nakamoto. Still, there's not enough evidence pointing to him actually being Nakamoto. In one interview he said of his BitGold, Satoshi came along and improved a number of aspects of it, made it even more trust minimized, and actually wrote software, so that brings the whole story to where we are today. He claims he has no idea who Satoshi is though. Others have been accused of being the ghost of Bitcoin, including Elon Musk, or a Japanese mathematician called Shinichi Mochizuki, or even the creator of the dark web Silk Road, Ross Ulbricht. But the latter is highly unlikely, and the other two have denied it. A denial doesn't mean they didn't do it, but there's no convincing evidence it was them. You'll also find conspiracy theories pointing to the US government creating Bitcoin as a black ops thing, perhaps to send untraceable funds for its various operations, but there's no proof of that either. Right now, the man known as Satoshi Nakamoto is still a missing person, the Kaiser Soze of cryptocurrency. Our story has all the suspects lined up against the wall, but perhaps there really is another Satoshi Nakamoto and that he's not a myth, but one man, a genius of a man, who has managed to keep his identity completely hidden. Because you know what they say, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. Regardless of who's behind Bitcoin, it's unfortunately been used for some nefarious purposes, like being used as payment for ransomware after hacks. And it's not just big businesses and governments that are targeted, other people like you and me. That's why we here at the Infographics Show have been keeping ourselves protected.
All right, can you hear me?
Use
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
one need to not just keep
Yep. Yeah.
but their dark web monitoring services will immediately notify you if it finds any of your personal information for sale on an online marketplace, so you can take steps to protect yourself right away. Don't be like millions of victims every day. Get Dashlane and keep your digital life secure right now. Head on over to www.dash.
All right, you can hear me?
Yeah.
All right, bet. I'm gonna have to fix that. That's just weird. But okay, so with that right there, nobody knows who this not.
Play that video a little bit, cause I'm getting a call.
All right, yes. All right, I'm having technical difficulties. All right, I'm having technical difficulties. All right, this next video I'm about to play gets a little more in depth. I know it's echoing, it's got a little bit of reverb. All right, this next video I'm about to play gets a little more in depth. I know it's echoing, it's got a little bit of reverb. I don't know how to fix that, but I'm working on it. But this next one I'm gonna play is about what what the real truth about this Bitcoin and all this other shit. All of it is all, it all has its place because it was created for one main purpose. Let this load up a little bit. And we're gonna get into it.
Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies have taken the world by storm. Based on when you started owning them, you could have made profits from 100% to 1000%. This drastically beating returns from anything you could have made in the stock market over the same time period, even in this current stock market bubble that we're in right now. So it's obvious why people are rushing towards Bitcoin. But while everyone is excited and happy about the profits being made, most don't completely understand what Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are and what the future of them will be. Unfortunately, there isn't a good deal of trust and information about the future of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, even though it's something that everyone in the world needs to understand. It was about 3 or 4 years ago that I started investing in Bitcoin. When I first learned about them, I had no doubt about its future. I immediately began investing in them and recommending to others that they did the same. The price was around $200, and I knew based on what I understood that the price was at its bottom and it was definitely going higher. I'll tell you why I knew the price was going to skyrocket, and I'll explain very simply what Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies' future is. First, what is Bitcoin? Without the technical jargon and unneeded information, all Bitcoin is a digital currency that is able to go from peer to peer, business to business, peer to business, business to peer, without the need for a bank or third party. Completely digital, never being physically held. The transaction fees are minimal and can be used globally, so there is no need to worry about currency costs between different nations. The technology blockchain provides a digital ledger that allows every transaction to be tracked and documented. So basically what we have here is a global currency, completely digital, never physically held, that has a limited quantity that never can be increased, very much like gold, completely opposite of cash. The elimination for the need of banks, they have low transaction costs, no currency risks, and all activity is documented, able to be tracked. Now, if you're awake to what is truly going on in this world, then alarm bells should be sounding off. You may be able to see where I'm going with this. But if you're like the majority, you may need more information, and you're who I made this video for. First thing you need to understand is that cash is almost dead. There has always been a widely held global conspiracy that the 1% want a cashless society. Whether you understand all the supporting facts that make this conclusion relevant, all you need to do is have your eyes open and see that we're going cashless. More people use debit and credit cards for their financial transactions than cash is used today. People are now even skipping using the cards and now using their phones and watches with systems like Apple Pay and Samsung Pay. We have been conditioned to not use cash. This is not just true for the United States, but for the world. The second thing you need to understand is what the current global financial system is based upon. In the most simplistic of explanations, the global financial system is based upon debt. Most nations of the world have a central bank. For example, the United States Central Bank is the Federal Reserve. The European Union Central Bank is a European Central Bank. In China, PBOC, or People's Bank of China. So these central banks print their nation's currency, or cash, and loan it to the nations. This, again, is a very simplistic explanation to a very complex situation. The point that needs to be understood is that ever since the Great Recession of 2007-2008, the main central banks of the world have been engaging in something called quantitative easing, which, again, being very simplistic, involves printing an exorbitant amount of currency, drastically increasing the money supply. So let's say, for instance, that the United States dollar only had $1 trillion in money printed. After they did 3 rounds of quantitative easing, now the United States would have $4 trillion of money printed in supply. These are not actual numbers, okay? What's more important is that the money supply has been increased. And if you know supply and demand, or you increase the supply of something while demand remains consistent, the value of that supply gets reduced. This would definitely be the case with the United States dollar if the other major central banks weren't doing the exact same thing. This is how the financial system has been propped up. If the other central banks were not doing the same quantitative easing, you would see hyperinflation in the United States dollar because the value of it would be diminished because of the oversupply. This, again, is an oversimplified way of explaining our current financial system. I recommend any and everyone to do their own independent research to get a better understanding. And don't expect the majors like CNBC, Bloomberg, or Fox Business to explain the truth until it's too late. Think about it. Did any of them properly prepare the general public for the Great Recession? So what does this all have to do with Bitcoin, right? Very simply, this financial system has been propped up too long, creating massive bubbles, and eventually will pop. It can happen in a number of different ways, but rest assured the bubble will pop and the United States dollar will implode, creating hyperinflation. It will collapse the global financial system, and there will be a major global problem. If this information is new to you, there are many people that can give you information to get you up to speed with this. But this is not the point of this video. The point is that when this current global financial system implodes, the powers that be will look for a new answer. And maybe you guessed it by now, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies will be that answer. Regulation of the currency will surely come, but from a global institution, and the world will have the global currency it's been asking for decades. So that's its future. It will be the global currency replacing the current global financial system currently in control by the United States dollar, which is the world reserve currency. The reason why I've been so sure of the future of this has to do with my faith. Regardless if you're a Bible believer or not, you must understand that those that believe in the Bible believe we are in the end times. Here is a verse from the book of Revelation that I'm sure you might have heard before. It comes from Revelation chapter 13, verse 16 and 17. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Now the first thing is this mark. You may have seen the many different promotions of the RFID chip people are inserting in their hands today.
I can't believe you just paid with this hand.
They explain many different benefits that people seem to gravitate towards, like tracking, so you'll never lose your child. You can store health records, so the doctor always knows your situation. It can serve as ID, so there's no need for wallets and ID cards. It can open doors and give you access without a physical key. It also can store financial information and allow people to buy or sell with this. Understand, in order for this mark of the beast scripture to be true, we have to be cashless. Because in a system that uses cash, there would be a way for man to buy or sell without the mark. People would just use cash. So when you take the RFID chip that is being marketed to the general public as a good thing, and then tie up a completely digital currency that can be linked to this chip, it's very easy to see where the future is heading. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies will be part of the implementation of Mark of the Beast, though it will never be labeled as such. The money being made and the great buzz being created just creates hype that builds people's general acceptance of a financial system that will bring about total control over their lives as well as their soul. And while even I have made a good deal of money in my early investment in cryptos, it's never been a long-term play. When people are getting excited about the price increase, it's because they are comparing the price to a dying currency, the United States dollar. They're not seeing the big picture. The United States is hyperinflating, but not against other currencies. It's hyperinflating against Bitcoin and other cryptos. So while I could definitely go on with this and explain in greater detail, in which I still might in a future video, I wanted to make sure that there was some sane information available to the public, particularly from a Christian point of view.
But we're not
Because
Christians
I can't
over
find
here.
it.
So I'm cool on the Christian point of view. You feel me? We not Christians over here. Can you hear me, bro? I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
This
I can
shit
hear you.
tweaking. All right, bet. Yeah, so you know what I'm saying? That's basically from the moment that I saw Bitcoin, I knew exactly what it was. I knew the cryptocurrency was going to be the currency that the government would implement at some point. And trust me, with them telling everybody to stop using cash and they're saying there's a change shortage and all that, their goal is to come with that cashless currency, you know what I'm saying, that they can mitigate, regulate, and control, cut off, cut on, do whatever it is. That's why everything is digital now. You know what I'm saying? It's a plan of their God. You're right. Their God did give that. You're damn straight. But the Most High God would never give us something that could be used to enslave us. And Bitcoin will definitely be used to enslave the masses.
Fiat is used to enslave the masses.
Huh?
Fiat currency is used to enslave the masses.
No, it's not. That's why they can't. That's why they have to come with another currency so they can't enslave us. Because they can't enslave us with paper money. You can't control it. If they could control it, then drug sales would never happen. Drug sales would never happen if they could control it. You can't control paper money. You can control what's in a program.
You cannot control cryptocurrencies if it's decentralized. You can only
Bro,
see
did
a
you listen to any of the information I showed you? All that information says you can control. All that information says you can control it. It's only a certain amount. It's only a certain amount. So the only way you can make money with that shit is to sell yours to somebody else. You see what I'm saying? So it's only 20. It's only 21. It's only $21 million in fee.
There's 21 million Bitcoin. There's not $21 million in Bitcoin. There's 21 million Bitcoins alone.
And what does that mean?
Itself, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
Each Bitcoin is worth what?
One Bitcoin is worth 20,000 per se right now. Within one Bitcoin, there's 1 or 100 million Satoshis. So basically what I'm trying to tell you is that Bitcoin is endless. That's why it's divided to the nth of cents. So right now it's worth 20,000, but in let's say 20 years, each one could be worth $1 million. And so there's 21 million Bitcoin. So it's like basically once that 20 million is hit, the market is basically whatever you said the value is. And that's when it goes up. It's gonna go up because there's no more left. It's basically like imagine a nigga coming.
So let me ask you this question. So do you think Bitcoin is what's gonna be used in the Most High's kingdom?
Most likely, yeah.
So you think so? You think the Most High is gonna operate off Bitcoin?
If he's coming to a 2020, well, it depends. If he destroys the country, like the world, and there's no internet, there's no like nothing, then we're gonna be using sticks and stones and goats as currency. But
then hold on, because then that would mean that it wasn't sent from him. My argument is that Bitcoin and all the shit like that is sent from the devil, because I can show you information right now on the internet where people view the internet as the Ethernet as the demonic realm. You know what I'm saying? So I can show you some shit that'll show you that the whole process of using Bitcoin come from a demonic place, and then I'm saying that Bitcoin is demonic, which puts that in a second.
Pocket,
Say what?
That's spookism. But Bitcoin can't
It
do
ain't
nothing.
spookism. It ain't spookism. Nah, it ain't spookism. It's facts. See,
How?
there's
But there's
such
no
thing as
spirit in Bitcoin.
because I can give you facts. I can give you facts. That's what I'm saying. If spookism is just somebody who's just saying some shit because it's an old wives' tale. No, this shit is real. This shit is real. It is really real. That's why they call it. What do you use something to trap somebody with? A net.
And that,
What do
okay.
spiders catch their prey in? A web. So why do they call it the internet in the World Wide Web? It's a trap, bro. It's a grid. It's a way for AI. So if you watch the movie Iron Man Age, I mean not Iron Man, but Avengers Age of Ultron, the ultimate goal of what they're trying to do is build something for the who they call the devil or Satan or whatever, something like Ultron. Some way for him to be like God. His whole goal is to be God on Earth. And so that's what they're trying to build all this stuff up for this last battle. So with that being said, all these things allows that entity to take form of a host body and upload. That's why Elon Musk is telling everybody that we have to you know what I'm saying, integrate our bodies with AI to be in the next phase of the earth. These motherfuckers on some whole nother other shit. And that Bitcoin shit is part of it. It's not like outside of it. It can't be spookism when it's fucking cold hard facts with it. That Bitcoin shit is part of their beast system. It's if not the most important part because it's dealing with people's livelihood. The rest of the parts of the beast system can be avoided. But when your stomach hurt, you can't avoid that. When your kid's stomach hurt, you can't avoid that. When you outside in the rain, you can't avoid that. You see what I'm saying? So the Bitcoin, the inception of Bitcoin, when that shit first came out, I already knew what it was leading to. Because in order for them to control the whole masses, they have to have a fucking currency that you can turn on and turn off. I could still buy food from somebody out my pocket with cash that just has food. But with Bitcoin, the government will know who buys what from who. It's a paper trail.
Confused. It's actually the complete opposite.
It's
when
not.
You spend
it's not.
That cash, they gonna
So if you do a transaction with someone else, there's no log of it.
It's only between you and them. So I would have
Guess
to have
what? Guess what, bro? Guess what, bro? Guess what, bro? If it's between you and them, it's between you, them, and the server. You gotta believe that all these situations play God. Just like on Facebook. If I send you a message, that's just between me and you, right? Right?
Yeah.
No, it's between me, you, and Facebook. Facebook get a copy of that message too. And so do whoever. Nobody even knows. Nobody even knows who started Bitcoin.
That's the whole purpose. You're missing the purpose.
Dude, nobody knows who started it. So the government very well, just like everything else, could have put that out there for motherfuckers to think they doing something, bro. You're missing the point. When you can't find who
left, when we could just look straight. Instead of going left, we could just look face value what he built Bitcoin for. He built Bitcoin.
Who is he? Hold on, who is he though? Because nobody knows who the person is. The person does not exist.
God,
that person does not exist. I just played a whole video where the person who created it, nobody knows who he is.
Yes, he's an anonymous person, but we know his playwright name. His playwright name was Satoshi.
But that's not a real person.
Okay, so in my perspective, it was God then. Like God touched something and made it work. Because Bitcoin is peer to peer. What you're talking about?
Yes, I'm talking about peer to peer. I'm talking about peer to peer. If I'm somebody who's not a part of society, I can't get nothing from nobody if I don't have it.
Yes. And so
right.
Because of that,
so why would that be the way? How does that sound like the Most High? How does that sound like the Most High?
I'm saying if you don't want to buy Bitcoin, use your fiat.
You know, we're not talking about if I want to buy Bitcoin. We're talking about the inevitable future of Bitcoin, which is going to be taken over by the government, which is what I played in that other video, which is going to be eventually taken over by the government. Let me see what I'm saying. which is eventually going to be taken over by the government, which is what I was playing in the other video, which says if you are just in a hypothetical scenario, if you're told you cannot be a part of society for whatever reason, whether it be the chip or not, whether it be the vaccine or not, if Bitcoin is the only way to operate in a society, you can't operate or live in that society, which sounds like what is right out of Revelation that says you can't buy or sell. So, as you being someone who I know says they ain't the truth, Bitcoin sounds like just like what is supposed to be used by the beast in Revelations, and you're saying that it's sent from God, but in Revelations it says that it will be sent from the devil.
Okay, so we're using that same scripture. That's Bitcoin, the Most High telling you if you keep using fiat, not only are you not going to be able to get no value from it, like it's
That's not what that said. That's your own, bro. That's your own interpretation, and I'm not gonna let you do that. If you want to have your own interpretation of the word, if you have your own, I'm not interpreting nothing, my own nothing. You just said your own idea of what it means, bro.
Bitcoin
I'm telling you what it says. It says you cannot buy or sell unless you take it. That's not fiat money, because you can buy and sell without fiat money.
Oh, bro. The United States currency is fiat USD.
But that's not what Revelations is about. Revelations is about a new currency, not the same currency, because the US dollar is no different than the denarius that was in motherfucking Rome. It's the same principle. It was based off of a weight, and it was based off of a metal, and it was based off of something, and it was some type of currency you could feel and you could touch. Well, the prophecy is about a currency you can't feel and you can't touch. So for you to say that the prophecy was about fiat money, you can feel it and touch it. So it wasn't about that.
No,
that's your own interpretation.
They converted it into credit and debt, which is called usury, which is in the Bible.
That's not the same thing. Credit and debt was in that credit has always existed. Debt has always existed. What has not existed was a currency. What has not existed was a currency that you cannot see nor touch.
But what is a debit card? You can't see or touch that currency.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can, because you can put that money off if you want to. Because you can put the money off at an ATM if you want to.
Yes, my perfect example.
Exactly. But hold on. But there will be no ATM with that currency. There will be no ATM. So there will be no cash. There will be no pulling money off and doing that. That's what makes this. That's why what you're saying is false, because the way we still have it now, even though they have it almost set up for that system, you can still touch the money. It's still real. Once it goes to all digital, the money will officially no longer be real. Bitcoin is not real. It's whatever, just like you said, it's whatever you make it up to be. So I could say Bitcoin is worth $1 billion then.
Yes, and it's going to skyrocket if you get the world to believe it for $1 billion. You'll be a rich man.
That's how you know it's not from the Most High.
Yes, so, it's from the Most High because. So
hey, look, everybody got their own walk. I ain't gonna hold you, because that what you saying sounds super crazy. But I ain't gonna judge. I'm gonna let the Most High judge. I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do. You understand what I'm saying? But I want to show you a little bit of information, and maybe anybody else out there who didn't know, I want to show them a little bit of information about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is, and you can quote me on this, is going to be a form of what they use for the mark of the beast to test the children of the Most High, to see if they're going to try to make their own way through this thing or to rely on him, because right now, ever since December 21st, we have entered the end game. You know what I'm saying? The Jupiter-Saturn conjunction was the beginning of the end game. With that being said,
my perspective, Bitcoin is just one cryptocurrency for those who don't know. Bitcoin is one out of thousands of others. The only reason why Bitcoin was the first to become popular, but there's other cryptocurrencies, and
all of it is the same.
Even if Bitcoin is the mark of the beast,
it's not just Bitcoin. It's not just Bitcoin. It's not just Bitcoin. That's what I'm saying. So you're making it be about Bitcoin. No, it's all of the. That's why I said in the title, Bitcoin and crypto. Bitcoin and crypto, because it's all the same. It's the
But it doesn't
same.
make
It's
sense.
all. It's just different lanes of that new system of what they're pushing. It's all different lanes of that new system.
But I'm saying
It's all
Bitcoin is
different lanes. It's all different
anti-government.
avenues.
The government does not want people to be using Bitcoin because they can't.
Bro,
They
you
have no
have no. Bro,
control.
you have. Bro. What the government has shown me is the government can say that they don't want people using it, or act like they don't want people using it and be the motherfuckers that created it. So I've
I'm
learned a
saying they
lot about how the government operate. You know what I'm saying? You'd be
government can't
surprised.
control.
Shit, the Black Panther Party was fueled by the government, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? The
And they
government
were
supported the Black
controlled.
Panther Party from the inside. What you don't see, what you don't know, what you weren't told, the government was behind that shit. The
They
government
were
was behind
controlled.
Martin Luther King doing them protests and them motherfucking boycotts. The government supported that. They funded it. So
Like you
what I know
said,
about the
those
government,
behind closed
what I
doors.
know about the
Bitcoin
government,
is transparent about everything. You could literally see from the date of inception. It's open to the public. That's why I'm saying it's like the internet. Right now, the internet freed more people than it ever enslaved. I.e., there's people on YouTube making money. There's entrepreneurs.
no.
There's all kind of crazy shit going on.
Everybody who's using the internet is a
How?
slave in one way or another. If it's from you overusing it,
I mean,
all the way
okay, yeah.
down
I mean, okay,
to them having all your information. Even if it's just
okay.
them
But
having all your
again,
information.
Bitcoin
Everybody who
stops
has
all
internet is a slave.
that. Okay, I feel it, but
Bitcoin
it's
don't
like,
stop nothing because they already got all your information. So what you talking about?
but
They got
that's
your
the
information
beautiful thing.
already.
So right now, if you want to go put out quote unquote a hit on somebody, no, let's not even say that. Let's say right now, you wanted to buy like a house or something. Like you want to buy a house from somebody, but you didn't want to go through the bank. You just want to say, "I'll give you this 10,000 and basically sign a deed over to me." That's it. You get a boy 10,000 worth of Bitcoin. He signs the deed over to you, and no more bank, none of the bank shit. That's what Bitcoin's for. You go to the
You could do
supermarket,
that. Why couldn't you do
you
that?
pay that
Why couldn't you do that
afterwards
cash? Why couldn't you do
because
that
with
cash?
fiat, you have to pay taxes, you have to be analyzed, and you have to prove where you got the money from, which is why you'll be considered a slave. With Bitcoin, you don't have to answer none of those questions. It's like, do you got that product? I want it. I bought it. I can buy this product anywhere in the world. With fiat, I have to convert it to Chinese dollars or whatever. I have to go make sure that my government's not rival with your government to make sure the product could be like it's. Bitcoin stops all that middleman taxes and
Bro. How many years you been working with other countries? Because you've been saying a lot about other countries, about working with other countries. How many years you been working with other countries and purchasing from other countries
my whole
and doing
life.
exchanges with other countries? Your
My
whole
whole
life
life,
you've
I've
been
been
exchanging with other
living
countries.
in fiat. Yes,
What
everything I
countries you
buy
been
in
exchanging
America
with?
is made from a whole nother country.
No, I'm talking about you literally. What are you talking about, bro?
Every good in America that is purchased by the average
I'm not
Negro
talking
is
about I'm not
not
talking about
outside
things
of the
that no, I'm
country.
not talking about things that are imported. I'm talking about things that are in a whole nother country and you gotta wait for it to come. How long you been doing that?
My whole life, no matter what I want. Right now, if I want to go to the store and get a TV, it's been shipped from a
How
whole
many
nother
things have
country.
you ordered from another country, Kai? No, not that was already ordered in America when you went to get it. How many things have you ordered from another country? How long have you been doing that? How long have you been ordering from Japan and you have to wait for it to come from Japan?
I ordered a couple things from Japan just off some drop shipping
How many
shit.
times have you ordered from how many times have you ordered
It's not
from
frequent.
Africa and it came from Africa?
It's not frequent.
I'm saying
But what
I'm saying how long? How long have you been ordering from Africa and Russia and Germany? How long have you been ordering from them places?
my government don't have products like that coming from there. So I would order something from China, like you said. I would order a pocket knife, or I order like a lighter or something like that. I'm not ordering like a bulk of goods from China.
What I'm saying is, so when you bring that up, that's not a large propensity of what people are doing with the money. Like, but I ain't finna go there. But
But
I
I'm
just want
saying
to say
that's
that
me.
because
There's
every time you mention it, you brought up if I wanted to buy something from Japan or China. Like, who the hell is buying stuff from Japan? Nigga, you're not
Because
in
you're
Japan. You're
thinking
in
from the
America.
Negro
So
mindset.
people are using
There's
Bitcoin in
other people
America
in the world.
for American goods, unless
But
you're
let's
an
say right
international
now,
traveler. But I know you, and you don't travel internationally. So if you travel internationally, it would make sense. Like, okay, yeah, he be out there, so it makes sense for him not to have to convert his money. But you don't be in other countries, so those things don't
that's
affect
being
you.
selfish and thinking individualism. Bitcoin is for the group mindset. So I might not go across the world, but there's people who do. And they pay the fees and all that shit and then say, hold on, why should I do this when I could just go buy some Bitcoin and do the same thing? That's the benefit. That's God given. That's a blessing. If you like
All
to
right,
spend
man.
fiat and get
Well,
taxed, that's on you. But anybody with financial understanding why would I want to use fiat and get taxed left and right and have to pay interest when I could buy Bitcoin, spend it, and every second it gains money. It makes me more money every second I hold it. Right now, your bank account is losing more money than it will ever gain because you only grow interest at a 0%. That makes no sense. With Bitcoin, you grow interest at the thousands. There's no $1 bill that you could have that in 10 years is going to be worth $20,000. There's one Bitcoin you could have 10 years, 20 years ago, is worth 20,000 today. That means it's going up. Fiat's going down. So I'm gonna just leave up to you to make the decision. But like I said, anybody with financial savviness is going to choose the market that's going up, not going down.
all right. Well,
Like I said, hold your dollar for
there y'all
another
have it,
20
folks.
years, and then and I'm gonna hold Bitcoin for another 20 years, and let's see whose money appreciated and depreciated.
I guess so.
That's gonna be the goal
All right, y'all.
because I
So
guarantee I ain't gonna last. But
that's
thank
the
you for having
first
me on.
that's the first Truth Tuesday. This is the truth about Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying? We'll touch on some other topics. Kai's theory is that Bitcoin is a gift from God. I'm here to show him that's not true. So
His tongue
y'all,
is a
I
gift from
appreciate y'all
Satan.
for tapping in with me. You know what I'm saying? We've been on here a little over an hour. This is one of the longest ones, and it's only gonna continue to get longer. It's only gonna continue to get better. You know what I'm saying? So y'all have a nice one. Peace out.